Hey guys, my name is Lance Christopher Montemiro and I am here to present to you my transfer task in ICT. My transfer task is about the computer parts, so let's talk about the computer parts. First part is the motherboard. The motherboard is the main circuit board of your computer and is also known as the main board or logic board. If you ever open your computer, the biggest piece of silicon you see is the motherboard. Attached to the motherboard, you'll find the CPU, ROM, memory RAM expansion slots, and USB ports. Basically, the motherboard is what makes everything in your computer works together. But how you disconnect the motherboard? First, disconnect all the cables attached to it. After you've disconnected the various cables and any hardware obstructing the motherboard, remove the screws that secures the motherboard to the computer case. Be careful not to touch the motherboard itself when removing those screws, as it may cause damage. Once you have removed all the mounting screws, you may carefully remove the motherboard from the computer case. Second part is the RAM. RAM stands for Random Access Memory or RAM. It's an essential component in all devices from PCs to smartphone and gaming consoles. Without RAM, doing just about it, anything on any system would be so much slower. Just about it, anything on any system would be so much slower. On the flip side, not having enough for the application you're trying to run can bring things up to a crawl, or even prevent them from running at all. But what is RAM exactly? In a nutshell, it's a high-speed component that temporarily stores all the information a device needs both right now, and imminently accessing data in RAM is insanely fast, unlike hard drives that are slower but provide long-term storage. Third is the ROM. It's an acronym for Read-Only Memory. It refers to the computer memory chips combining permanent or semi-permanent data. Unlike RAM, ROM is a non-volatile. Even after you turn off your computer, the content of ROM will remain. How do you remove the memory slots? Once you've located the memory you want to remove, you should notice two tabs on either side of the memory slot. Press this tab down and away from the memory slot. If done, the memory should pop out, and once both are away from the memory module, you can lift the memory out with no effort. Next part is the CPU. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. The CPU is the primary component of a computer that processes instruction. It runs the operating system and application, constantly receiving input from the users or active software programs. It processes the data and produces output, which may be stored by an application or displayed on the screen. The CPU contains at least one processor, which is the actual chip inside the CPU that performs calculation. Next is the computer fan. A computer fan is any fan inside or attached to a computer case used for active cooling. Fans are used to draw cooler air into the case from the outside, expel warm air from inside, and move air across a heatsink to cool a particular component. Next is the ports and connector. A port is a connector at the back side or side of your computer where you plug in an external device such as a printer, keyboard, scanner, mouse, or a modem. The computer ports are also commonly referred to as the input-output ports. Now, let's talk about the external devices that use to a computer. The first external device is the printer. In computing, a printer is a peripheral device which makes a persistent representation of graphics or text, usually on paper. While most output is human-readable, barcode printers are an example of an expanded use for printers. The different types of printers include 3D printer, inkjet printer, laser printer, thermal printer, and etc. Next is the modem. A modem is a formal chunk of modulator, demodulator, is a hardware device that converts data from a digital format intended for communication directly between devices with specialized wiring into one suitable for a transmission medium such as a telephone lines or radio. Next is the keyboard. A keyboard is a typewriter-style device which uses an arrangement of buttons or keys to act as mechanical levers or electronic switches. In normal usage, the keyboard is used as a text entry interface for typing text, numbers, and symbols into application software such as a word processor, web browser, or a social media app. Next is the mouse. A computer mouse is a handheld pointing device that detects two-dimensional motion relative to a surface. This motion is typically translated into the motion of a pointer on a display, which allows a smooth control of the graphical user interface of a computer. Next is the flash drive. A USB flash drive is a data storage device that includes the flash memory with an integrated USB interface. It is typically removable, rewritable, and much smaller than an optical device. USB flash drives are often used for storage, data backup, and transferring of computer files compared with floppy disk or CDs. They are smaller, faster, have significantly more capacity, and more durable due to lack of moving parts. Now, let's talk about how to disassemble your computer. Step 1. Unplug. The first thing you do is to unplug every cable that is plugged into your computer. That includes the cable such as a power USB, mouse, keyboard, internet, Ethernet, modem, AF or FM, antenna, cable TV, etc. Just unplug all the cables for safety purposes. Step 2. Removing the system fan. First, unplug the fan from the motherboard. You can unplug by the following wire from the fan. It should be labeled SYS fan 1. Then next, you will have to unscrew the fan from the outside. You should now be able to lift the fan out of the PC. Step 4. Removing the CPU fan. After removing the system fan, you need to remove the CPU fan. The CPU fan is located right on top of the CPU heatsink, which is a large piece of metal with pins on the top. The CPU fans are plugged into the motherboard in an awkward place that is hard to access. But just follow the wires and you should easily find it. It is labeled CPU fan 1 to remove the fan from the heatsink or remove the 4 screws securing it in place. Step 5. Power supply. The first thing to do is unplug every wire coming from the power supply. You must disconnect the motherboard, very large connector plug, CD-DVD drives power, internal hard drive power, and portable hard drive slot power. Step 6. DVD drives. First, unplug the ribbon from the back of the drive. Once that is complete, pull the top, secure the drive in place, and then push it from the inside. Step 7. Hard drive. First, unplug the connector at the back of the slot and unplug the other end from the motherboard. Also, unplug the SATA cable from the motherboard and the hard drive. The portable hard drive is secured the same way the CD-DVD drive is, with the tab. Pull on the tab, then slide the slot out. Step 8. Step 8. Memory, RAM. To remove the RAM, push down on both tabs, holding the RAM in place, which are located at both of the ends of the RAM. Step 9. The motherboard. The motherboard has 7 screws holding it to the frame, which are indicated by large white circles around them. Remove them and then lift the motherboard out of the frame.